What's up, everyone? Welcome to another Tarun Shetty vlog. Are you not entertained? Nothing funny is going to go on in this vlog. I'm just going to run some errands. Hey, first of all, thanks to everybody who commented on my last vlog. I don't know those people, but I appreciate the comments. I really do. You have to understand, and I think people see me and they're like, dude, I feel bad for this guy. I think that's what's going on. Like, dude, this guy is a head case. But in reality, I think everybody's a head case, and that's just my natural temperament. Like, I could be a garbage man and I'd still have these thoughts and self-doubts, and that's how I am and that's how I function. And I don't know if people understand that or not, nor do I expect you to. So, but there was some great advice though. Somebody said, hey, maybe you should go back to school, which I've debated doing. That's probably why I got a job when I was like 32 after I made Bobby Con. I started working at talent agencies, and I was like, maybe I can be a normal person. But the thing is, like, go watch this video of Tarun Shetty UTA on YouTube. Like, I talk about it for like, it's like one of my best videos, I think, because it has like so many views and people contact me all the time for advice. But the reason why I couldn't last in those jobs is because, man, the creative spirit you can't kill. It just keeps coming, and I do believe in myself. I mean, you have to bet on yourself at some point in your life, and it's when stuff gets really tough, not to be like Rocky here, but when shit hits the fan, that's when you really have to lean into it and be like, hey, I'm doubling down. So, I mean, honestly, I'm so sick of talking about like my stand-up sometimes, because I can do 2 acts, and my goal was to open for myself. Do you guys know who Andy Kaufman is? Andy Kaufman's this comedian. He's big in the 80s. He was on Taxi. And he would do this character named Tony Clifton, right? And basically, he would dress up like Tony Clifton, and Tony Clifton was like this lounge singer, this really abrasive, annoying guy that everybody hated, and he was terrible. And Andy Kaufman had Tony Clifton open up for him before he performed, right? Did comedy or whatever performance art Andy Kaufman did. And long story short, he got on Taxi, and he put in his contract, Tony Clifton's got to be on Taxi, and people started figuring out like, oh, this is Andy Kaufman in disguise, because Andy Kaufman was like super famous. So then Andy had his writer, Bob Zamuda, be Tony Clifton, so it just confused everybody. But when I saw that, I was like, oh, I can do this with Bobby Con. I can like open for myself in clubs, which I was really gearing towards. Like, I can do 2 different acts, because I've been doing comedy since the dinosaur age. But I understand Andy Kaufman. Like, when I was watching clips of it, I was like, I understand what he was experiencing, because, man, I almost get like, it's like this weird excitement. Like, I'm almost turned on. Like, just putting an audience in this other mindset. Like, whenever I do Bobby Con, they're like, what the fuck is this? Like, you see some guy from Bollywood, and most people think I'm Bobby Con, and then I stay in character. And there's something just powerful about that. It's that control, and also I can, write and tell jokes. That's what I can do that very well. I can write jokes, tell jokes very well. So that's why I just can't drop it. I have to just keep, especially now in Florida, I feel like this is the perfect environment for it. I have to finish it. And I think that's very important in show business. You have to finish whatever you start, even if it's a 20-year thing. You have to keep going and just not stop. And that's how I finish my movies. Like, Bobby Con took me, the movie itself on YouTube, by the way, you can go watch it for free. That took me almost 3 years to finish. I mean, I worked on that movie for 3 years with a talented crew. Everything I write takes me a long time to finish. Like, that's the thing about entertainment. Like, all these things take time to cultivate. It's like a diamond, right? You have to be constantly evolving it and working on it when nobody else is looking in. And that's something which I'm constantly challenged with. I'm like, because look, you can tell the biggest enemy is myself, and I think whatever you're doing in your life, you have to keep doing it. Now, the great thing about day jobs, going back to those comments, is when you have a day job, and if that's all you do in your life, you're not taking any risk or chances, but you're growing in your job. You get promoted, you get more money, and I understand that's a great life too. Like people like diss it sometimes and say, well, you're not taking any chances or risk with your life, you're playing it safe. What's wrong with playing it safe? Like, I see that. I think the grass is greener sometimes on the other side. I think there's nothing wrong with playing it safe. If that's what you want to do with your life, then go do it. My biggest pet peeve is when I see people have input on how other people live their lives. Like, nobody should say anything, yet everyone feels entitled about how other people live their life. And that's my problem with the country today, specifically America. Not to get political here, but like, everyone's so PC, how you should live your life, like what people are doing, what comedy should be. I mean, that's not how comedy was when I was starting off in like 98. Honestly, it was just like, are you funny? Here's your stuff, hear laughter, write jokes, tell jokes. Here's a funny TV show. Now everything is so politicized. I mean, somebody sent me a clip from like SNL, and I couldn't even laugh because it was so like, just like, anyway, I don't want to go on this topic. It's just too much. So that's another reason why I feel like I want to do a character, because I'm like, let me just bring some happiness to the world. Or, it's like Steve Martin did. He was huge in the 70s. The reason why he got huge was because of Vietnam and stuff. Like, it was a very divisive country, lots of turmoil. And so when people saw Steve Martin, they were like, thank God, some guy with an arrow through his head is making us laugh. And there's something very, very intoxicating about that for audiences, because they just want to escape. And that's what comedy should be. But again, that's like me contradicting myself. I'm not going to tell you what comedy should be. I just think people should do what they want to do. Again, if you're not stealing material from somebody, then it's fair game. And it can be hard. I think life is hard. I mean, I wish I could tell you everything in my life right now, but like, life is very difficult sometimes. And I was very lucky in my 20s, and I didn't realize it, when everything was just carefree and you're just like living your best life. So one of the things, like, whenever I meditate twice a day, and the reason why I meditate is because it's like an escape for me from like just reality. But whenever I meditate, I always think about like, sometimes you don't know what's going to happen. Like, nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. And living in uncertainty is like one of the most scariest things to experience, because nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow, 5 minutes from now, 10 minutes from now, whatever. Like, nobody knows anything. And when you fully realize that, that's when it's like, holy shit, let me just let go and be in a boat without oars and just go with the current and stream. You work towards something, and then you let go of everything else and see what happens. So that's where I'm at. Right now I'm gonna go to this Publix again to get some stuff, which I don't mind. It breaks up my day, picking up stuff from my parents right now. So we'll be back right after this. All right, just got back to my car. The best thing about doing groceries here, like, nobody cares what they wear. It's like in LA, you're going to like a dance club, girls wearing like sports bras, guys are just dressed up. Here, everyone's just clinging to life. So I'd show up, I have like sweatpants on right now. I've got sweatpants, but it's the beauty of shopping out here. It's kind of liberating. But hey, somebody left a comment on my last video, and they had a really insightful point. They said, I don't know if this is true or not, they said Einstein came up with the theory of relativity while like working in a patent office. I have no idea if that's true or not. I'm not going to fact check these comments, but I thought that was a pretty insightful thing, because I really believe sometimes that when we think that like we're just out of commission, we're actually moving. That's when we're probably moving our best. And I can back this up with facts of my own life. Like my last girlfriend, I hate to even mention her, but we don't talk, nothing bad to say about her, but she was very clingy. And I remember thinking while I was dating her, I have no time to do anything. And then the relationship ended, and all of a sudden I had time to like write every night. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I've got all this free time. And that's why I wrote my last book. Not saying my last book was some huge bestseller, but it definitely opened up some doors for me, which is what I'm doing right now in Hollywood. I mean, I don't think I'd even have anything if I didn't write that last book. So sometimes, yes, I totally agree. Like, you have to embrace the solitude. Like, you can't just sit around and like watch Seinfeld all day. You have to just be, you have to be grinding. I mean, if not grinding, at least do like an hour a day before work, or wake up extra early, a half hour. Like, all those little tiny drops make a big difference. So I'm trying to do that. I mean, it's the thing, right? You really don't know where anything's gonna lead. That's the irony of life. Tomorrow, I might do another open mic in Tampa. I'm gearing up to go to the clubs, and I feel like if I just keep going to these shitty open mics in Tampa, like that'll shake off the rust real quick. Like, if anybody here watches boxing, like, I don't box, but I always hear if you don't fight enough, you have a lot of ring rust. That's what they call it. And I feel like it's the same with comedy. If you don't perform, you forget how to do things. Like, comedy should be I was watching one of my old sets, and I was very relaxed on stage, just kind of going through my jokes. And then I was watching last week's set from this coffee shop in Tampa, and I was just like an open micer. I was like rushing things, and I was okay. But as a professional, I could see that I was rushing everything, and I wasn't, taking my time. And that just comes with being comfortable. So I was like, all right, I got to keep going to these shitty mics until I just fully feel comfortable, because I don't want to show up at these comedy clubs unprepared and just, you get like one first impression. Like I really believe that even at the LA comedy scene, like when these clubs see you, like they really remember you. Like there's so many comics out there, but people remember you. Like, if you bomb and you can't bring it on stage, people pay attention to that. And you have to make sure, that's the thing. It's like LA has this weird thing where you have to be famous and popular and be an influencer to get on stage. But at the same time, they do care sometimes if you are actually funny. Like, if you don't have any credits, or if you're not like famous, you better be funny, because nobody's going to show you any love unless you're opening for somebody. In that case, I can just go off on that. I have friends, and they purposely bring shitty openers. I mean, honestly, go see your favorite comedian at a comedy club, and pay attention to the opener. I guarantee you it's some mediocre comedian who's like getting okay laughs, because a lot of headliners are insecure and they don't want to bring somebody really strong. If somebody can headline and crush 20 minutes before the headliner, that guy's like a threat almost. And I know comics who purposely bring like super hot chicks, or like some cool guy who does their podcast who's like 2 years in the comedy, because they don't want to feel threatened. And there's so many like weird dynamics to comedy which you don't understand until like you actually are in the scene. That's why, like, if I ever like start headlining around the country, and if I have an opportunity to bring an opener, fair game. I really think you do what you do. If I can't follow you, then that's my problem. I've always believed that. Like, trust me, I've eaten my dick many times on stage. But LA is a different scene. I was actually telling my friend, LA, I have so much hostility towards LA sometimes, which is my own shit that I have to get over. Like, here's what really bugs me. Like, over the pandemic, like, none of these clubs are open, right? So they have to do these Zoom shows and streaming shows to keep alive and charge cover for these, shows on Zoom and stuff, right? So obviously, like, these A-list comedians in LA right now, like, Theo Von, Dalia, Eliza, I'm just mentioning names randomly. Like, they're not going to do these Zoom shows because they don't have to. They have enough money, and they're like, why would you want to do a shitty Zoom show, right? Or a streaming show where there's like no audience, and you go to the comedy club, you're performing for nobody, right? It's painful. So comedy clubs would like call these, the B-lister comedians, the guys who are like past the clubs, but they're not like hot. And of course, these guys are nice, and girls, they would perform and show up for the club and help them keep the lights on, right? Or somewhat keep the lights on. Now that the pandemic's over, right? Like it's nearing and clubs are opening up again. These clubs are right back to their normal roster. It's like they forgot about the B-lister guys and they're just booking like whoever's hot again, like who's on a TV show. It's like there's no loyalty at all. Like nobody remembers like the guys who helped you. It's like, I know this because I talk to people. I talk to people in Hollywood and I know what's going on. But man, that's why like when these guys get really famous, these comedians, and you hear of them like taking like 90-10 at the door, meaning like they're taking 90% of the profits at the door, and like the comedy clubs can only keep the drinks and they're barely keeping alive because they're getting raped essentially. I am totally for that. Like the performers should definitely just take whatever they can get, because that means they probably spent years just getting ripped off, and you can't say anything because you want to work, right? I think this vlog's like super bitter. It's like the most bitter. I'm not trying to be bitter. I'm just telling you what it is. I sound like some. I'm not even like. Whatever. Who cares? Anyways, so I'm gonna try to be positive for the rest of this car ride. In fact, there's this thing called the 4 Agreements, which is like this book. I think this is like another conversation about like spirituality, but there's this book called the 4 Agreements, and one of the agreements is don't gossip. And it's so hard not to gossip, especially like when I talk to my comic friends, because there's so much vitriol to just vent and get off your chest. And sometimes it's just fun, like shooting the shit. Like I heard like even Jay Leno, who's like the nicest guy, I heard a story where he would tape other people's Tonight shows when he was coming up, and then he'd bring them over to like somebody's apartment and like make fun of them, right? Like comics love doing that. They love it when other comics bomb. They love it when somebody else falls down. Like when D'Elia was going through his shit, I don't know D'Elia at all. I made a D'Elia video. You can go watch it. I was very neutral. I don't care what happens. I'm just kind of a bystander. But it was kind of disappointing to see all these comics take joy in his downfall. People love seeing other people fall. I think it's like a human nature thing. I mean, look at your tabloid magazines. Like I just saw some headline like Josh Duggar or Duker. I don't know how to say his name. I'm not a reality guy, but I just saw the magazine, and I guess like he got arrested for like child pornography or something, and he's like a reality star. Like, and the whole TMZ culture, we love seeing people get exploited, their downfall. I mean, we can just step over their dead body and just move on to the next person. I mean, that's what showbiz is about, right? You're either like a sycophant and you're like just totally worshiping these people, or you're buying Us Weekly and reading about how they're living in a homeless shelter. I mean, it's black or white. This is civilization, people. I wonder if I would even get in the showbiz if I fully understood the scope of what it would be like, the morality of it, the highs and lows. Probably. I mean, it makes it exciting, right? I mean, there's a great scene. There's a great scene in The Matrix, right? When he's taking the red pill or the blue pill, and one of the bad guys like, he sells out everybody, and he's like, just give me the blue pill. The blue pill is like the fake world, and he's like, I know how everything works. Give me the blue pill so I can just live in this fabricated existence where I can just live blindly for the rest of my days, right? He knows it's all a facade, but he was like, just give me the blue pill. And I think the blue pill is living some normal existence, right? Like, it's all fucked up, so might as well just put yourself in some underground bunker and live your life. Anyways, I gotta go back inside, drop off some groceries, but I hope everyone has a great day. See you later. Bye.